It wasn't as if Mary Hill were clear across the country. Either she would probably be getting home every month or so, and there were the Christmas holidays and then spring vacation. Minta's chin was lifted in a stubborn line as her father parked the car and went around to get the shovels and pail from the trunk. It wasn't like him to be so stubborn. Usually, he was jolly and easygoing and inclined to leave such matters entirely up to Minta's mother. She followed him down to the beach, her boots squishing in the wet sand. The tide was far out and farther up the beach. She could see bent figures busily digging along the water's edge. So Minta started thinking that Mary Hill was not across the country because, as her father had restrained or asked her not to join Mary Hill this year. But Minta started thinking by herself that Mary Hill was not across the country. She could come to school, she could come home every month, and then she would have Christmas holidays and then spring vacation as well. Okay, students, now at the very beginning, you must have identified these two words like either or. So, this is correlative conjunction which is used over here. You are also supposed to underline these two words, either or or. These are correlative conjunctions. Okay, when Minta's father went to get shovel and pail from the trunk, and at that moment, Minta lifted her chin because she thought that about her father, that he never had been so stubborn like this, that he is very adamant in this decision, as he used to leave the matter on the mother to decide. But this time, he became very stubborn, that he is very adamant in his decision, that he is not going to change it because he is very serious, he is very grim right now. But Minta could not decide, Minta could not identify, Minta could not see what her father actually wanted. So, as Minta knows, as far as about her father, she knows he was very jolly and easygoing person, and these are the characteristics of Minta's father, that he was very jolly and easygoing person. So Minta followed her father towards the beach, and in her long boots, which were squishing or making noise in the wet sand. So the tide was quite far and farther, so Minta could see the shadow of many busily people, and they were bending and digging the water's edge. So Minta could not decide what her father wanted, because her father is not like a stubborn, has a stubborn personality. He is very jolly and easygoing person, and he does not bother such matters. He, whenever he has to take any decision, he simply leaves such decisions on the mother to decide. But this time, Minta could not decide what her father actually wanted from her. A scattered beach fire smoldered near the bank, and Minta poked it into place and revived it with the splinters of driftwood until she had coaxed back a steady warming blaze. When she sat back on her heels to smile up at her father, she felt her throat constrict with a smouldering fear. His eyes looked the way they had when. When? Suddenly she remembered he was looking at her and trying to smile just the way he had looked at her the time her appendix burst and they were taking her to the hospital. She could almost hear the wail of the ambulance siren and feel the way he had held her hands tightly, trying to make it easier. His eyes had told her then, as they told her now, that he would 1,000 times rather bear the pain than watch her suffer. So, in this paragraph, the difficult vocabulary words like smoldered, smoldered means to burn with no flame and little smoke. To burn with no flame and little smoke. And wail, wail means to weep or cry. To weep or cry. So, in this paragraph, we come to know that fire smoldered near the bank, and she had collected many driftwood in a pile and managed fire until it became steady, warming blaze. Then she sat back and tried to give smile to her father. At that time, she felt her throat had constricted with fear. Like, what is the purpose that her throat had constricted with fear? Because his eyes looked like when? When? Yes, then suddenly Minta remembered something. And what did she remember? She remembered that her father looked at her the way he looked at her when the repetition of when her mother's appendix burst and she was taken to the hospital. She could even now hear the sound of siren of ambulance and could feel how her father gripped her hands so tightly. Tightly is adverb. She knows her father could bear the pain, then watch her wife suffer. This is a very beautiful line, and this line shows his love for his wife. Now, Minta could remember and started remembering the way the father looked like. This is the time when mother had an appendix burst. At that moment, how the father was feeling. The father did not feel so well. He gripped the hands of Minta because he could not control himself. And Minta could remember the sound of the ambulance, the siren, and she could very clearly hear those sounds. And she was very afraid because she knows that her father could bear the pain of separation, but her father could not watch her wife suffer. So this shows his love for his wife. Next paragraph, and you have to come to page number 33. It seemed like a long time that she knelt there by the beach fire, afraid to move, childishly willing herself to wake from the nightmarish feeling that gripped her. He took her hand and pulled her to her feet, and they started walking up the beach, slowly, not toward the jagged pile of rocks that jutted out into the bay. She heard a strange voice, her own voice. I thought, you wanted to talk to me about school, but it isn't. It isn't that. Is it, father? His finger tightened around hers. In a way, it is about school. And then, before the feeling of relief could erase the fear, he went on. So, for a very long time, she felt that she was unable to move. And at that moment, Minta was bending forward to the fire by the lakeside, and she wanted to get out of this nightmare because she was thinking that it should be a nightmare. If that condition is the same, like mother is again suffering from any disease, any problem, because father looked like so as he used to be in the past. So she wanted to get out of this nightmare. She is only hoping that she is having a nightmare at this moment. And then father pulled her up, and both of them started walking where? Up the beach. And they were not at that moment walking among the people who were digging for the clams, but they were walking to the other side of the beach. And then Minta asked her father that she thought that he would talk about her school. But father did not talk about the school. What is the matter? What is the matter? Well, dear students, I thought the repetition of this phrase you can see is anaphora, and anaphora is used over here. And what is the purpose of anaphora? Anaphora is used for the emphasis, and I thought is anaphora, which is the repetition. Okay, you must underline in your book on page number 33. Okay, next paragraph. I went to see Dr. Morton last week. Minta pretty regularly these last few months. She flashed a quick, frightened look up at him. You aren't ill? No, he sighed, and it was a heartbreaking sound. No, it isn't me. It's your mother. That's why I don't want you to go to Maryhill this year. But she's feeling so much better, Dad, except for these headaches once in a while. She is even taking on a little weight. She broke off and stopped walking, and her hand was steady on his arm. Tell me, she said quietly. The look was back in his eyes again, but this time Minta scarcely noticed it. She was aware only of his words, the dreadful echoing finality of his words. So now father told Minta about his visiting to Dr. Morton. Another character has been introduced, that is Dr. Morton, last week, and he told Minta that he has been visiting the doctor for many months, and this made Minta frightened so much that she had a feeling that her father is unwell. But her father made her at ease and told her that he is completely fine, he's okay, but his mother is unwell. So he wants his daughter not to join Mary Hill this year. And then Minta explained to her father that her mother is getting better, like because she could see her mother is getting better because she is putting on weight, which is a quite which is a sure sign that she is improving, but only she had to suffer from a headache. Now Minta could hear dreadful words which were now echoing in her ears. So although she was explaining that mother is recovering and she's putting on the weight, only she is suffering from headache, which is a normal headache. But Minta knew very well that dreadful words would definitely be coming from her father, and these dreadful words were echoing in her ears.